Well, good morning. We're going to reshoot this YouTube video. I just watched the YouTube video I shot and I didn't like what I saw. So we're going to do it all over again. This is the completed masterclass number 68. This thing's beautiful. It's a piece of work on the inside. It's artwork literally on the inside. But like I said, I shot a whole YouTube video around this thing and I was just in a grumpy mood or something. Had a bee in my bonnet or something. But this is built, this is a 10-pill Toshiba. Let's pop the lid, let's take a look on the inside. What do you think? This thing's gorgeous. I had a lot of production issues with trying to just get this one amplifier out the door. I ran out of a lot of little things that I thought I had thousands of, like the remote jack on the back. I had to go to Amazon, get some emergency purchases. I'm not gonna lie, I did. Then I bought like 400 of these things about what I think is a year ago. Come to find out it was like 4 years ago. And the sideband delay cap, ran out of those. Thank God for Amazon and their next day delivery, right? It's been a hot minute since I've done a full-up production, anything other than like a 4-pill or something like that, and I really need to get myself geared up for this. So I spent a bunch of money a few weeks ago getting wire and Teflon, a wire and ferrite and heat shrink and resistors and zip ties, and I thought I totally had the shelf stocked. Boy howdy, was I wrong. So we added a couple things to the shopping list, and well, we were able to get this done. One of the things that I didn't cover in the first video that I wanted to cover in this one, it's for the customer, and if he ever has this thing break on him, which I hope he never does, how to go about working on it. You'll notice that the 316 is held down with zip ties and not normally pinned to the board. Like normally I take a piece of hard copper wire and I'd pin all these to the board. The reason for that is this thing is built on a hinge. And what I mean by hinge is a wire hinge. There's wires, okay? So everything from the back side of this all loops around the back side. So all a guy's got to do is go in here with this 100-watt soldering iron, and you lift up this leg by lifting up with your finger. And then there's another one on the other side. Lift up. Same here and same here. And this whole thing rotates up, and you can have access to all the transistors and all the little parts and bits and everything underneath. And then when you're done working on it, fold it back down, resolder your 4 legs, you're back in business. I didn't cover that in the first video. I covered all this other stuff that didn't make any sense. And I'm like, I don't know. I was angry about something. I'm not too sure what. But I woke up this morning, I thought, man, I'm going to quickly reshoot a new video for this, and I think I'd do the customer more justice. This has got Toshiba transistors in it. I'm proud to announce that every single pair is matched, but none of the lot numbers for each 2 pairs match. So this pair of numbers is different, this is different, this is different, and so on. Look, guys, the legit Toshibas are getting really hard to come by. Nobody wants to buy my new ones at $250 a piece. Can you blame them? I don't blame them. I got 580 of these bastards left. Brand new. Still sealed in the freaking RF parts bag, right? Nobody wants to buy them. So this is built with used Toshibas that all have a gain above 60, and everything else in here is new parts on everything. So I want to show this too, but with the lid still being attached, I don't know how I can show it. I built little elevated platforms for the output tuning capacitors. These are 150 or 145 picofarad output tuning caps, and they're little tiny elevated copper stands. And they needed to do that for space. That was just a fun little innovation that I came up with. I will probably never build another 10-pill in a cabinet like this. I know I said this the last time. I built one for my buddy Richard, and I built it in a cabinet like this, and it's kind of the same design. I honestly wasn't thinking when I ordered this cabinet. I thought, oh, 10-pill, ding, click, buy, good to go. In the future, I will use a 16-pill cabinet because it's a little tight to get all the magical bits in here at the size of the parts that I like to use in here and make them fit without doing a double-decker bus, a 2-floor building, an elevated platform this year. This does make it a little bit of a trick to tune, because when you close the lid gets a little bit close in proximity to all the little bits here. And as we all know, if you have cabinet, which is ground, and you put that next to an inductor, which these are, the proximity of the two have a tendency to couple with each other. So a little bit different. I can show this thing running with the lid off, and we'll have one test result, and then I put the lid on, we'll have a different test result. We'll obviously tune for the lid on, because I don't know about you, all the customers usually like to run them with the lid on. Just saying. I was supposed to build a matching 2-pill with this. When I bought and ordered the cabinet for the 2-pill, they sent me this one. It technically does have 2 holes in it. I've seen people use, and I have built these with 2 transistors in them in the past. The heatsink is not big enough, and nor does it get enough airflow. Now, if we wanted to put a 1 transistor unit inside of here, 454, 2879, whatever you want, heat sink's adequate for that, and it gets enough airflow. But you put 2 in there, and it gets so hot, parts start falling off the board eventually. So, AKA Tony over at Fat Boy, AKA God, and I mean that in all seriousness, because, well, if it wasn't for Tony, a lot of us wouldn't be here, and that's probably 99% of the people in the building community, except for maybe Tech 9, which that man's balls are so big that he doesn't need anybody. He'll just go down to the store, get metal. He's got the jigs and everything he's built down in his little shop, and he makes his own cabinets. I mean, he doesn't anymore because it's not worth it, but he used to. Like, everything was his. So I admire that level of craftsmanship, but majority of us, we don't want to go that far to have our own tins and stuff breaking. So that's why I call him God, because a lot of us eat from the Fat Boy tit in one way, shape, or form. And what I'm talking about is this cabinet board and this heatsink. The rest of this I kind of own, except for the tuning tubes. Okay, let's hook this thing up and run it. We have to keep in mind that each 2-pill section inside this box will produce roughly about 500 watts worth of power. We have a little bit of loss in between each one of the sections due to the combining and splitting, but not that much. So we should see on 12 volts, 13 volts, about 2,300, 2,400 watts worth of power, and then on a little bit higher voltage, like 14.5, 14.7, we should see about 27, 28, somewhere in there. So we'll go play with that. Let me get the lid put back on so we got good airflow, and get the driver hooked up and get it wired into the bench, and we'll be back. Okay. So first we're going to run on everything on 12 volts. Like, we're just running it on standard car voltage. Now we're going to use the Striker 955 and the 5-watt slug in reverse. And we're going to run the Striker into the 10-pill all by itself. We're going to eventually have to switch out this 1,000 watt element. So let's go over here and let's talk about this for a second. So we have our steaming coax. This is a 1,000 watt element here, 1,000 watt here. We've currently got it set at 5x. So let me reach in here and we'll put this at 1x. We're going to bury that in a second. But what we have here is a 5,000 watt element right here. It's got a 5K element. So we'll be switching this out. That element, because of the steaming coax, you see that divider line in that top bar? That's the 1,000 watt mark. So it automatically takes any element that you put into it and it doubles it. So it technically will read to 2,000 watts. We're going to go past that here in a second. So the amp is off. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're going to put about 85 watts peak into this 10-pill. Let's go ahead, we'll turn on the 10-pill. And we've got our dead key set at, let's see here, just above a watt. Let me shut the 10-pill off again. So I had it set on sideband. Just about a watt. The reason we want to show that is so that everybody understands that this amp keys up at a very low input power. So 1 watt in gets us 1.9 watts out. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now that's at 11.5 volts. Let's go up here and look at the Striker. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's at 11.5 volts. It's 11.9 volts. 12 volts is dropping down to 11.5 volts. So let's reach down here and let's turn this up to something a little bit more usable. We'll say, 14.5. So we'll let everything marinate up. And now our striker is going to put out, hello. Interesting. There we go. Hello. About 145 watts. Hello. 145 watts going in. Hello. 1,300 watts going out. So now we'll take and we'll put this up on 2x. Remember, in the middle of this scale, between the 40 and the 60 is 1,000, and then it increases by integers of 200 out to 2,000 full deflection. So, hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We're showing 14 and some change and 13 and some change over here. Out of a 10 pill straight. Perfect input SWR. Before we go any further, let's go back up here and let's show pass-through tune. So we're looking at the bottom scale, this one here, and the bird meter. And what we're demonstrating is the RF's ability to go from the radio, through the meter, through the amp, to the dummy load. Because remember, your pass-through SWR, it affects your ability to talk through the amp, but it also affects your receive. So if that SWR is too high, it's going to cut your receive down. So we want to keep that as low as possible. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect. Okay. Absolutely perfect. So now, let's have some fun. Let's drive it to its max. We're going to simply disconnect this coax connector. And like I was saying, I got to build a 2-pill yet to match this. But we'll use the bench 2-pill. We're going to take the bench 2-pill, we're going to drive this into the 10-pill, and we're going to see a significant increase in power. So, let's turn on 2-pill, make variable all the way up on 2-pill, it is. And let's go look and see what we're going to put in this for drive. About 490, 500 watts. It's gone on this scale, gone on this scale. So what we have to do to make it readable again is we'll pull the 1,000 water out. We're going to switch over to a 5K. 100 watt, 250, 500 mil, 10K, 5K. There we go. I love that hot swap button. It's really neat. I love that. And he's getting ready to ship these, by the way. So if you order now, he'll probably be shipping your order on Jan 1. So just here in a couple weeks. Now what we'll do is we'll reach over here, and we'll take that to 5x. So now that 1,000 water here is reading like a 5,000, and that's a 5,000 watt. So let's see what we get. 24, 25, and over here we're showing almost 28. 26. This box is working perfect. Absolutely perfect. So let's look at our amp gauge. Here we are on EM. 155 amps, right? Well, let's go engage the sideband delay. We'll take our striker, and we'll flip it over to lower sideband. Now let's watch this amp gauge. 11111. Almost 300 amps. Well, 386 amps, almost 400 amps. That's total draw. That's 2-pill and 10-pill. Okay, so we minus 35-ish amps out of that. But that's what this old girl's putting out. Old girl, she's brand new. She's brand new. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's almost 300 amps, I spoke wrong. 280 something, so we'll be 260 minus, it's about 230 amps draw just from this. The reason I want to point that out is the gentleman that owns this amplifier that bought it, He went and got himself a 370 amp alternator, and he asked me, do you think that's big enough? And I said, well, yes, of course it is. To be able to power this and power a 2-pill, plus your striker that you're buying yourself, or your 148, whatever you wanted to run into it, you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. The math don't lie. Just saying. All right, on that note, I'm gonna go. Like I said, just a quick reshoot of this beautiful work of art. Guys are really liking these the polished fan guards. You know, I've been doing this for a while. Normally I've been painting these black, crinkle, hammer, black, flat, matte. I've been painting these. It's winter time, so I just grabbed the surface prep tool and polished these real quick, and they look good. That's what we're gonna do for the next month or so. Actually, most of the ones that I'm gonna do out of here coming up soon are gonna just all be gold leaf. You'll see what that's about shortly. Gentlemen, big shout out to Penta. Remember, if you want to buy anything from Penta Labs, they're the guys that make the 3500Zs and the 572Bs and the 3000s and the 1500s and the 20s that we're all buying right now. First time purchaser gets a 15% discount. Make sure to use the promo code BBI. You'll get an additional 5% discount on that. And on that note, we'll say thanks XS, thanks Siglant, thanks MechMan, thanks Bird, thanks Coaxial Dynamics, and a big shout out to the Patreon supporters that allowed us to watch this entire video with no ads. I appreciate their support. Without them, I don't get to be here, and that's honest to God truth. If I didn't have Patreon because, well, YouTube doesn't pay worth a damn anymore, if I didn't have the Patreon guys, I wouldn't be doing these YouTube videos. So thanks, gentlemen, over on Patreon, and thanks all of you. I appreciate the thumbs up. Whatever comments you want to leave me in the doobly-doo, that helps out the algorithm a bunch. From your biggest mud duck in Idaho. I'll see you, gents. Click, click.